Good afternoon, everyone. This is September 24th, Sunday, 2023. And this is the third class of creative non-fiction, Voices from the Margin. We had the second class last Sunday, and I had come for class on Tuesday, but I found that the university was open, but your classes were not held that day, and I just returned. Let me open the essay, then I'll talk. Non-fiction. Okay, what am I? 561 creative non-fiction voices from the margins. So as we read, Control F5. Okay, just a minute. Let me correct the issue. WINDOWS, Windows MO, Mobility Center, and disconnect display. Yes, now we have, I guess. Do we have? Not yet here. Maybe we need to change the cable. 1 minute, just a minute. We need to be ready with so many technological things, because if one thing does not work, you have to go with another thing, right? Okay. We have a VGA cable here. I hope it works. Today, as a teacher, you have to be technologically quite equipped. Where is yes? Let me see if it works. So equipment in the office doesn't work, the one I have works, right? See, you have to be equipped with all the things you need. Okay, you always should have a second plan. So, what we will do today is, we will quickly scan the essay. We will look for elements of the narrative. We will try to do rhetorical reading of the essay, where we will focus on what does the author say, and then second, how does he say what he says. And then, do you have a curriculum, anyone? Syllabus? I have. Okay. So if you see the syllabus, Unit 2 has the theme. What is the theme? Theme is people places and the environment. Okay. So let's begin. In the previous class, if you remember, in the previous class, I talked about textualized rhetorical situation. Last time I talked about that, where I talked about the text, and under text, let me take help from the book. Okay. Under text, I talked about speaker, speech, addressee. Then I talked about occasion. Then I talked about presuppositions. Then I talked about intended audience, and I also talked about actual reader. Then I talked about implied rhetor, and I also talked about actual rhetor. Okay, we will also apply this framework as we read the essays paragraph wise quickly. Hope you can follow me as I read the essays. Just a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. I'll try to move faster. So paragraph 1. So what does he say in paragraph 1? He says that my mother was or is seriously sick. This is the message, paragraph 1. He says, my mother is seriously sick. Now ask a question. How does he say it? And this how is about rhetoric. And this how is more important than the what. Okay? This how is more important. Now look quickly. When my mother began using, so what does he say? How tells a narrative. He tells a narrative in past tense, right? Second, began using electronic pump that fed her liquids and medication. We moved all that. Now opens the story in the middle. There is drama. He presents a drama scene. What do you see? His mother is walking slowly from the bathroom toward the kitchen, or maybe from kitchen to bathroom. And she has to drag a machine on an iron stand with the wheels. And as she drags the machine on the tile, the casters make sound. And the narrator is sitting in the nearby kitchen and is trying to cook something. And as the mother walks, she is short of breath. She stands to take rest, and there is no sound of the casters. And when there is no sound, the son gets anxious. Oh, what's wrong with my mom? Why there is no sound? So the mother coughs to indicate that it's okay. And then he says that, look the last line. Then he says that, see the last line? Sometimes you would hear her halt after only a few steps to catch her breath or steady her balance, and whatever you were doing was instantly suspended by a pall of silence. So, tells a narrative, opens the story in the middle, like a drama. Third, uses imagery. The opening paragraph is remarkable for use of imagery. What kind of imagery you see there? One, you will see visual image. Second, you will see auditory image. What is the visual image? You will see the image of the machine, the stand, metal stand, the casters, the pump, the tiles, the visual image. Then you have auditory image. What is that? The sound of the wheels moving on the tile. So there is vivid imagery. Even Sarita can imagine, though she is not able to see like us, but she can imagine as I describe this imagery. Machine, pump, tiles, the mother, the sound, right? Imagery. Then, another remarkable thing you will see in rhetoric, when you study rhetoric, the question you ask is, how does the rhetor appeal the audience? There are three ways you can appeal people. Appealing means influencing people, convincing people. You can appeal people, you can persuade people in three ways. One, you can use emotion to convince people. You beg for money and you cry and you say that you haven't eaten for 10 days. Or you have a speaker and tell that my kidneys have failed and you go from door to door. Emotional appeal, right? Now, emotional appeal results from language, use of language to create emotion. How? Figures of speech. Figures of speech. For example, here you have the metaphor of the machine, you have imagery of the machine. Then emotion is also created by visuals using real pictures. Though we don't have a real picture, but there are pictures created using words. So in this paragraph, there is more emotional appeal, there is more pathos in the way language is used. The way language is used, it creates pathos or emotion. The other appeals are logical appeal. We don't have logical appeal much here. Then ethical appeal. I won't talk about logical, ethical right now. I will talk about them only when I have another chapter or another paragraph where they are dominant. So I said, the writer uses emotional appeal. Now another thing, very important thing, you will see that. See, the first one is, when my mother began using the electronic pump that fed her liquids and medication, we moved her to the family room. The very opening sentence introduces the protagonist of the narrative, the major character, mother. The major character, the major protagonist of the narrative. A narrative has a protagonist because there is a story. Story means someone does something somewhere to someone. So the very opening sentence introduces the mother. Second, if you read further, the bedroom she shared with my father was upstairs. Now, father is introduced. Remember, the issue where this memoir was published had the theme of home. What was the theme of this magazine? That month, October 16, 1995, home. So, home as mother, home as father. Look, the bedroom she shared with my father was upstairs and it was impossible to carry the machine up and down. See the difficulty, complication. Now look at the narrative. In a narrative, the story opens in a normal situation. Right? It opens in a normal way. So you see a mother, very normal opening. Then, after this normalcy, there is conflict, then there is complication, then there is crisis. Right? Here you see conflict. Look, first sentence. She could not swallow liquid. She could not swallow medicine. She could not walk up and down. So she was brought downstairs on the ground floor. The pump itself was attached to a metal stand on casters and she pulled it along wherever she went. From anywhere in the house, you could hear the sound of the wheels clicking out a steady time. You could hear, you, Y-O-U. This you is audience or the reader or addressee. This you is, who is this you? One. This you is all sons around the world. Because anybody reading this memoir can relate himself to the son and identify his mother. And imagine, oh, my mom also has similar problems. Like this. So this you is all sons around the world. Or this you is sons living in New York City. Because this memoir was published in New Yorker, which mainly New York people read. Right? Okay. You could hear the sound of the wheels clicking out a steady time over the grout lines of the slate tiled foyer, her main thoroughfare, to the bathroom and the kitchen. Look, now we have the word kitchen. Where did I write mom? I wrote mother somewhere, right? Well, okay, let me write here. Mother, kitchen. Let me tell you one very important thing. Let me use the word framing device. What is framing device? In this classroom, there are 20 people. You have a teacher, desks, benches, everything. What is used to keep it intact together? Walls, roofs, the structure of the classroom. If you didn't have the walls and the roof and the door and the window and the classroom, you would not be here like this. One will be turning east, another west, another south, north. There will be chaos. What brings smooth functioning? Because there is structure of the classroom. So this classroom structure is a device that frames you together, brings you together. In narrative also, in stories also, writers create something that is called a framing device. What is framing device? You can say that the theme or the idea or any location or any person or any activity or any space that you find throughout the story. For example, the opening sentence presents the mother. And throughout the story, in every paragraph, he talks about mother. So it is the mother's figure that connects all other strands of the story. Through the character of the mother, the writer brings together other stories. So the mother functions like a stitching needle that brings it together. The mother functions like a rope, like a thread that weaves together all other strands and makes it one. In the same way, in the opening paragraph, he talks about the kitchen. What does he say? She used to walk from the kitchen to the bathroom, bathroom to kitchen. kitchen is the space in this narrative where 90% of the events take place. It was the kitchen where the mother used to cook when she was living. It is the kitchen today where the son is sitting remembering the mother. When he wrote this memoir, when he wrote these lines, the mother had already died. You read this in para 54. If you go to para 54, there he tells clearly. When he wrote these lines, the mother had already died. What makes him remember mother? Coming home and getting into the kitchen. Why does he remember mother when he comes to the kitchen? Because when he was barely 5-year-old, every morning, evening, when mom was cooking in the kitchen, he would come, stand by her side, and from the crooks of the arm, he would very carefully look the way she was cooking. And he had learned to make many Korean dishes just by observing mother cooking in the kitchen. So kitchen is the location, is the space that functions as a framing device. What is a framing device? What is a frame? Look, this is the frame. This is the frame. This is the frame. This is the frame. I cannot write anything here. Neither can I write something here. No. I cannot write anything here. I must write within the four boundaries. So these frames create a systematic space for me to teach you. If we had no whiteboard, I won't be able to write anything there. Frame is what binds different things together. Frame is what brings different things together. Frame is what puts different things together. In a story, in a narrative, framing device is anything, an image, a place, a person, an idea that predominates the whole story, an idea that is found in every paragraph, and all other ideas are brought together by that idea. Then that idea will be called framing device. You can write a story, 10-page story, in which in every paragraph the feeling of patriotism runs like blood. Now you will say, patriotism is a framing device in the story. Because the idea of the love for the country is bringing all other ideas together. And when you do a rhetorical analysis, one important thing you should look for is what kind of framing technique or framing device the writer uses to persuade people. And I said, in this story, the kitchen is a framing device. In this story, the figure of mother is a framing device, because the whole story revolves around the mother. There is another framing device I'll mention right now, the food. The food. Because in most of the paragraphs, one way or the other, the writer always talks about food. Either he describes his mother cooking food in the kitchen, he remembers, or he describes the various dishes she brought him in the college, in the school when she came to meet, or he describes how he made kalbi, his mother's favorite dish, when she was going to die. He and his sister spent 4 hours making the dish, and finally she cannot eat. How terrible, because she has cancer. One way or the other, almost every paragraph talks about food. So food is the item, is the thing, is the object that functions as a framing device. Now, another thing that you should look for in rhetorical analysis is we call narrative framework. When you talk about narrative framework, what you're trying to say is, how does the writer tell the story? Narratives are mostly in past tense. Narratives are mostly in past tense. And they use verbs abundantly because a narrative narrates actions. Whereas a descriptive writing uses adjectives to portray a scene. A descriptive paragraph will use a lot of adjectives to portray a scene. A narrative paragraph, on the other hand, uses less adjectives and more verbs because in a narrative, actions are taking place, events are unfolding, someone is doing something. And narratives mostly are in past tense. Why mostly? Always they are in past tense. Remarkably, we'll see when you talk about the narrative framework in this memoir, the story opens at one point. Let's say the first paragraph, let's say. Draw a line here and write here now. And draw a line like this. And write, then write now. And you will see that the writer, the speaker, the writer, the narrator, what you call, time and again goes to the past. Why does he go to the past? Because he remembers. He remembers. Whom does he remember? His mother. What does he remember about the mother? The time he lived with the mother. What does he remember about the mother? The things he did with the mother. What does he remember about the mother? The things he learned with his mother. And when a writer goes to the past, remembers things from the past, and narrates, we call this flashback technique. And when you make an analysis of persuasion, when you make a rhetorical reading, when you analyze how does an author say something, you should also focus on rhetorical framework, or I mean narrative framework. The writer uses temporal structure, temporal, vertical. Temporal means time. Temporal means now and then. And one most difficult thing in this story is, I give you a challenge I could not do. You solve it. I read many times this story and I could not neatly sketch out the flow of time in the story. I could not. And I invite you, 20 people here, sit together somewhere, someday, read the story and bring me the analysis. Where the story opens, where the story ends. For some time I thought that when the story opens, the mother is living. But when I reach para 54, then he writes, oh, mother was already dead. When he wrote these lines, mom was dead. So one very interesting thing in this story is the forward and backward flow of time in the story. And your teacher is not able to fully understand this tangled framework, you decide. Okay, I don't know. And I'll be happy if somebody can bring me Divakasa. Yes, I've done analysis. Look, this is the time. Okay, you decide. So what I said, I read paragraph 1 and I focused on what the author says. Then I focused on how he says. Then I focused on framing device. Then I focused on narrative technique. Then I focused on flashback technique. Now about this textualized framework, so we know, let's not talk about actual writer, the implied narrator is a son. Speaker, the son. Speech about the mother. This speech is the narrator's experiences of living with his mother, which he remembers after her death. The narrator's memories of living with his mother, which he remembers after her death. Then you have addressee. So time and again he says you, and we know about all sons like him. This you is all sons. This you is the readers of New Yorker. This you is people living in New York City, because this memoir was published in the New York in the second week 1995 October, and the magazine then was mostly read by people living in the city of New York. So in one way, this memoir also sheds light on life in a metropolitan city, the life of elderly people. Almost every home in Kathmandu has a sick mother like her today. Check. Every home has a mom like that, having cancer or thyroid or pressure or sugar or something. Right? So this is not only about his mother's story, it's our mother's story. We can relate our family with that. Okay. So then I talked about appeals, and I said it uses emotional appeal through language, through figures of speech like imagery and simile, or not in this paragraph but other paragraphs. Now can I move ahead? Before I move ahead, you can take time to ask me some questions if any. You can ask me questions. Okay. While I erase what I have written, you can think of questions to ask me. Now let's go to paragraph 2. In paragraph 2, I was usually in the kitchen. Now what do you do at home? You number the paragraph. There are 71 paragraphs. Like write paragraph 1 and then write past, if there is past. Then write paragraph 2, then write present. Make a track of past and present paragraph wise. Read a paragraph and ask a question. Is he remembering his past, or is he talking about now? If you think the paragraph is about now, then write now. If you think the paragraph is about then write past. And see how past, present, keep moving in the narrative. Okay. I was usually in the kitchen preparing lunch or dinner. I was past. Poised over the butcher block. Look, the block where the mother used to chop meat. With her favorite chef's knife. Look, all the objects that the mother used, now the son is using. Chef's knife in my hand and her old yellow apron. Now he's wearing. Slung around my neck. It used to sling around her neck. I would be breathless in the sudden quiet and having ceased my mincing. Pay attention. This language. Again you will see the conditional. I would be. Where do you use would? You use would, could. When you are narrating things you did frequently in the past, but you do no more. This is a memoir. This is a narrative. This is a memoir, where a son is remembering the things he did with the mother and the things he does no more. So how is language used? Conditionals are used. Mostly we will see would, conditionals are used. Why are conditionals used? Because conditionals express the regular habits, regular things you did in the past, but you do no more. Look what he says. Would stare blankly at the brush sheen of the blade. Why? Mom was walking outside. She had stopped. No sound is coming. He is afraid. Oh, is she dead? And looks at the knife and becomes thoughtful. Oh, is mother dead or alive? Why she's not moving? Why then why is not coming? See the drama. See the drama. Then sheen of blade, eventually she would clear her throat to tell the family members, I'm okay. Or call out to say she was fine. Then begin to move again, starting her rhythmic kajug. I checked a lot, Googled a lot. The meaning of kajug I could not find. Somebody find and tell me. It's a Korean word. And only then could I go on with my cooking. See the last line. The world of our house, turning once more, wheeling through the black. When mom was walking, world of our house was walking. When mom stopped, our world stopped. How emotional. How emotional. Look, if mother was walking, our world was walking. If mother was not walking, our world had stopped. So second paragraph, again we see emotional appeal. Narrative and emotional appeal. Another remarkable second paragraph, you see a lot of kitchen items. Butcher's block, chef's knife, yellow apron, mincing, sheen of the blade, kitchen. A remarkable aspect of this memo is kitchen vocabulary. Kitchen vocabulary, words related to kitchen and cooking. Next paragraph.
Sir,
Yes.
that appealism to the reader is actually how does he say what he says within this segment that comes as?
He narrates.
Yes.
How does he say? He says by telling a story.
By appealing.
And creating emotional appeal. How does he create emotional appeal? By showing how the same objects he's using that his mother used to wear and use. Next paragraph. I was not cooking for my mother but for the rest of us. When she first moved downstairs, she was still eating, though scantily, more just to taste what we were having than from any genuine desire for food. The point was simply to sit together at the kitchen table and array ourselves like a family again. Look, oh God, how emotional. Why were they cooking? Why were they cooking? They knew that mother cannot eat. They knew that mom cannot eat. Still they were cooking. Why? Because it is the food that will bring the whole family together.
Food is acting as a unifier.
How many times have you sat with all the family at home and eaten together? You eat in the hotel. How many times have you sat with the mama, dad, and brother, sister, auntie, uncle, grandpa together? Food brings family together and creates home. What is home? Home is not a room. Home is not a building. Home is not post box number. Home is not address in the map. Home is not Google map. Home is mom, dad, sister, brother, food, and all together. This is very remarkable because in Nepal today there is no home because not a single home has all people living here. One Korea, another Saudi, another America, another Australia. Nepalese have no homes today.
Yes.
They have only houses.
Yes. Buildings. Yes.
Nepalese have only houses. They have no homes. Because as the writer says, what is a home? Home is the dining table where all people come together. Home is where all people live together.
Yes.
That's why he says, we knew mom wouldn't eat, but still we cooked. Because we wanted to sit together like we did tennis before and eat together. Doesn't it make you emotional?
Yes, very much.
Go back home and again sit together with your family and eat together. Look, I know you will be running away your jobs now. What is the time? Oh, people, busy people. Busy people, right? I will leave at 2 o'clock.
No, sir.
No? I should continue at 2:15?
Yes, sir.
2:50. Okay. You just raise your hand, I will leave the class. Okay? It's your system. So if you say, yes, sir, let's continue, I'll continue. If you say, no, sir, stop, I'll stop. Okay. So this paragraph says that home is where family is. Next paragraph. It had been 10 years since we had all lived together. Look. After 10 years, the whole family was together. In the house, which at 15 I had left to attend boarding school in New Hampshire, my mother would sometimes point this out by speaking of our present time as being just like before Exeter. Now, I will run quickly. I won't explain other paragraphs. There are 70 paragraphs. I'm in 4th paragraph, and I'll quickly show you what is why, okay? Because I know we don't have time. Oh, God. Okay. Paragraph 5 talks about how his mother was not happy because he left home when he was 15 and went to join Exeter School in the city. Why was he not happy? Because when he left home, very soon the mother developed cancer. And she knew that she is going to die soon. And then she started missing her son. She started missing her son. And she was not happy that she sent him to school. But again, she was happy that he is getting education. Paragraph 6. In paragraph 5 there is a line. But I never thought that my leaving home then would ever be a problem for her. His leaving home became a problem because she became sick. And she thought, now I'm going to die soon, and I'm not able to live with my son. So when she knew that she will die, she wanted to live some time with the son. See the mother's love for the son. Hello, sons and daughters. Look how much moms love children. Next, paragraph 6. Now her house was full again. Daddy was coming early at 4:30 from his clinic. Sister had left her job and had come to live in the home to take care of mother. I had left my job, I had come home to take care of mother. So we all were, mom, dad, me and my sister. We all were at home because mom was sick and we had come to look after her. Okay. Paragraph 7. When I was 6 or 7 years old, I used to watch my mother. She says that when I was a child, my mom would be cooking in the kitchen and I would come running in the kitchen. She would say, go back, study, read, do your homework. I say, I have done my homework. And I loved standing by her side where she was working with a knife, and from the corners of her arms, I'll carefully look what she was doing. And I will learn how to cook. He says he learned a lot of dishes just by looking at mom's, the way she did. Paragraph 8.
Sir, can we take that kitchen as a unifier? What?
Can we take that kitchen as?
Something that unifies.
Yeah, I said earlier. I told you, the kitchen is used as a space for framing the story.
And the modernism is the thing that fragments the family, yes?
There are so many framing devices. The mother is a framing character. She brings the whole thing together. The food is a framing item. Whole things revolve around food. The kitchen is a framing space. That the whole drama takes place in the kitchen. The whole story takes place in the kitchen. Okay, paragraph 8. Paragraph 8 is remarkable and very difficult to understand because it has a lot of kitchen words. Like, look here. She's making meat. The mother is making kalbi. Mom was making kalbi. And look the words like flinty meat, gristle, tendon, butterflied, glistening, seasoning, scored, diagonally sifted, crevices, scallions. In paragraph 8, there is a lot of kitchen-related cooking vocabulary, particularly vocabulary about Korean dishes. Because here he describes his mother working in the kitchen. Look here, I would enter the kitchen quietly and stand beside her, my chin lodging upon the point of her hip, peering through the crook of her arm. I beheld the movement of her hands for kalbi she would take. Now, she was making a dish named kalbi, and now he's describing how the mother made the dishes. Paragraph 9. I have pictures. brought from internet. Oh, I cannot show. How I wish we had a better projector where you could see. That's not Kalbi, that's nothing, I don't know. If you can see clearly. Sometimes I feel frustrated and
We are also emotional to that, sir.
you people do a lot of politics, right?
Yes,
You people do a lot of politics.
he is our class leader, sir. He is.
Hell with your politics. Why I'm saying so? Look the condition of the university. Where is your politics? Why you're not doing something to improve it? Sorry, I was so harsh, right? I hope you will excuse me, right? I hope you will excuse me. I'm sorry for this harsh expression, right? I became frustrated because I see in the university we need to improve so many things and we're not able to improve. Leave that. So paragraph 9. Again you have kitchen vocabulary like mass of garlic, julienne of red pepper, fantails of shrimp. Paragraph 10. I have always thought it was particularly cruel that the cancer was in her. See the irony. The mother was a fantastic cook and she could eat nothing. Somebody is a great cook and they cannot eat what they cook because they have stomach cancer. See the irony. When you do rhetorical analysis, talk about this device, irony.
It is also emotional appeal, yes?
Yeah. What is ironical? You cook fantastic and you cannot eat. The mother is fantastic cook, but she cooks and she cannot eat. She has cancer in her stomach. Paragraph 11. We set the meal out on the glass coffee table. In the family room, I prepared a tray of smoked salmon canapes. The son makes the same dish, kalbi, that the mother used to make for him to pay a tribute to her. She is in the last stage of cancer and the son makes the same dish and offers her. And, okay. We set the meal out on the glass coffee table in the family room. I prepared a tray of smoked salmon canapes, fried some Korean bean cakes, and made a few other dishes I thought she might enjoy. My sister supervised me, arranged the platters, and then with some pomp carried each dish to our parents. Finally, I brought out a bottle of champagne in a bucket of ice. My mother had moved to the sofa and was sitting up, surveying the low table. And mom says, "It looks pretty nice," she said. "I think I'm feeling hungry." Next paragraph, 12, look. This made us all feel good when mother said, "I'm hungry." Especially me, for I could not remember the last time she had felt any hunger or had eaten something I cooked. We began to eat. My mother picked up a piece of salmon toast and took a tiny corner in her mouth. She rolled it around for a moment and then pushed it out with the tip of her tongue, letting it fall back onto her plate. She swallowed hard, as if to quell a gag, then glanced up to see if we had noticed. Of course, we all had noticed. She attempted a bean cake, some cheese, and then a slice of fruit, but nothing was any use. She could not swallow. See the emotional appeal. Food was cooked. It was offered on the table. Everybody is there. Everybody eating. Mom says, "I'm feeling hungry, I want to eat," and she cannot eat. So you have food imagery. Another thing, let me focus on it, I'll forget. It says voices from the margin, right? And the family being described here is the family of the Korean immigrant in America. This is a family of the Korean immigrant. So ask a question. how does this narrative present the voice of the Korean immigrant? One answer is through food. How do you assert your identity? You assert your identity through dress. You assert your identity through food. You have sakela and all that, and I see Rai people, Limbu people come to Tunikal with all that traditional attire. On other days, they wear Western dresses. But that day, they will wear all Limbu, Rai and all the dresses. Why? They are claiming, asserting their identity through dress. Another way you assert your identities through food. So in this essay, the writer is asserting the Korean identity of the immigrants through food, because throughout the essay you will see there is a lot of description of Korean dishes. He describes Korean dishes. So through this Korean food, he is expressing the voice of the people from the margin. If a blacksmith writes an essay, he will talk about hammering and tinkering in the house, because that's his identity. If a suchikar, tailor, writes an essay, he will talk about sewing clothes. That's his identity. Here this writer talks about Korean food because he's Korean. So through the description of the food, he is creating, carving their immigrant identity. We have every 5 minutes I have to check my watch, because I'm afraid I can take more time and you will feel offended. Okay. Okay. Actually, our classes should be 3-hour classes, right? Not 1.5 hour classes. Because we have long essays, 70, 80 paragraphs, serious issues, right? These are not grade 11 essays. Okay. So, para 14. My mother could whip up most anything, but during our first years of living in this country, America, we ate only Korean food. Now, I'll move quickly and go to paragraph 15. And in 15, what do you have? Yeah. She reminded me daily that I was her sole son. Her reason for, look, sometimes my wife says, I don't know if I should talk on recording because it goes to the world. Sometimes my wife says, thank God I bore this son. We have a son and a daughter. I'm sorry for this kind of thing, I shouldn't say. But she says, thank God I bore this son. If I had not born this son, then the family would reject me. Nepali culture. If a mother doesn't bear a son, look, she has a tough time. Sorry, daughters, you're equal to the son. But I'm telling the bitter reality of society, right? Look here what she says. What he says? Look, read the line. She reminded me daily that I was her sole son, her reason for living. The mother said, you are my reason for living. She had a daughter. I don't know if she said the same to the daughter. We don't know if this mother said to her daughter, you are the reason for living. But she said to the son, you are the reason for living. That's not a good thing. But that's a bitter reality. Right? And that if she were to lose me in either body or spirit, she wished that God would mercifully smite her, strike her down like a weak branch. She said, if something wrong happens to you, better God snap me like a twig. Snap me like a twig. I should die. Look, the bond between son and mother. So what is in this line? You see an intimate bond between the son and mother. And this is emotional appeal. You don't read the essays at home, right? I wish you had read before the class, right? Okay, move next paragraph, 16. So I'll go to paragraph, 16 paragraph. Paragraph 16 is remarkable for sports vocabulary. Sports vocabulary. His father told him that your mother was national basketball champion in Korea. National basketball champion. And she taught father how to play basketball. One day she taught him how to play basketball. And he was surprised. He never realized, oh God, my mom is a basketball player. Look at the words here. Dribble, dribbling, you dribble the ball. Look at the vocabulary. Dribbling around the key, flung a flat shot. I won't read the paragraph, but what I'm commenting on is that paragraph 16 is remarkable for sports vocabulary. Paragraph 18, sports vocabulary. Paragraph 19. When we got home from the playground, he's remembering after about 6 weeks, his parents visited him in the college for the first time. And they had taken a lot of food for the son. And he ate so much that he instantly vomited in the kitchen, in the bathroom. He ate and then vomited everything. Because he was missing so much. It was just 6 weeks. Just 6 weeks. He was missing the food in home. Paragraph 20 is remarkable. It puzzled me how much she considered her own history to be immaterial. Another remarkable thing. This essay narrates the history of a mother. In that sense, it raises the voices of the margin. This essay raises the voices of the margin because it presents the voices of a mother. This essay presents the voices of the margin because it presents the voice of a Korean mother in America. Okay. Paragraph 21. Yes. In the year before I left for Exeter, I became weary of her oft repeated accounts of my father's success. She wanted her son to be as successful as the father was. So she always inspired her son to work hard like the father. At one point, we read importantly, I don't know which paragraph, where she tells that, or he tells that, his father had to work two shifts to earn the money that white Americans earned by working single shift. This is the paragraph, where you see racial discrimination against the Asians in America. So that is a line where you read the voice of the margin. Why was he at the margin? Being a psychiatrist, being a doctor, he was not given the same salary as the Americans got. Why? Because he was not a white American. Because he was an Asian. Because he was a Korean. Because he was a foreigner. Because he was an immigrant. To earn the same amount of money, he had to work double time. I don't remember the line exactly right now. You look it at home. That is the line where you read clearly the voices from the margin. So this essay expresses the voice of the people who have been racially discriminated in America. You tell me clearly when I have to stop. I'll stop. If your time is done, my time is 2:15. Your time is any time you like, you can go. Okay. So 22. Para 22. No. Yes, 22. Now, another remarkable thing. There is a lot of dialogue. There is a lot of dialogue. And all this dialogue is not real, it's remembered. The writer remembers having conversation with the mother. And he remembers two types of dialogues. One with his mother, another with his father. After his mother's death, his father tells him a lot of things about the mother. I repeat, after his mother's death, the father tells the son a lot of things about the mother's history. And the son tells us these things through the memoir. See the layer of narration. Mommy told daddy, then daddy told the son, and the son told us. So the events are being narrated layer by layer. First, mommy told daddy, I was a basketball champion, darling. Then daddy told son, your mom was basketball champion, darling. Then son tells us, my mom was basketball champion. See the layer of narration. And there are a lot of dialogues. Look here. The bank, look once. Another thing. In your first semester, you read one essay, The Achievement of Desire by Richard Rodriguez. At one point in that essay, Rodriguez says that, as I went to school, there was a distance between me and my family because my school was English medium. I gradually learned speaking English and I loved speaking English. At home, my parents spoke Spanish. I began to hate my parents, he says, because my parents were uneducated, illiterate, could not speak English, and I spoke English. And he says, as I was educated, a distance emerged between me and my mother. The same is happening here. He says, one day my mom said, hello son, there is a bank call, statement, something wrong. Then son says, why don't you call the bank? Then she says, I don't know English. What should I say? Then he says, learn English. And they quarrel. Such things happen in every family. The old people, I call my son. Only yesterday, my laptop stopped working. I had to call my son. And he spent 2 hours fixing my laptop from America. He fixed it. I'm surprised. Technology, look. He can fix my laptop from over there. He was happy helping me. But some sons may not be happy. This is the reality. Relation between elders and younger people in the family. Move at paragraph 30. Now I'll move directly to paragraph 48. She believed back then that I had found her more and more ignorant each time I came home. When the son spent time in college getting education, he began to feel that the mother is uneducated. And the mother felt that my son thinks I'm not educated. But the mom was an accountant. The mom was a cook. The mom was a national champion. The mom was a heroine. Don't underestimate this mother. She's not an ordinary mother. Then she said she never blamed me, for this was the way she knew it would be with my wonderful new education. Sometimes people say that to you. When you do something wrong, they say, oh, this is education, new education. They blame education. Right? They say that this is new education. Then move at paragraph 49. What is there? Yes. I will skip and go to paragraph 50. Again, in paragraph 50, there is a lot of description of Korean food. Sushi, kimchi, rolls of Korean style, pork, parmesan. This is American food. Chicken patties, wax bean, comparison between Korean and American food. Then come to paragraph number 53. Again, there is a lot of Korean food. Kalbi, broiled, grilled, leaf lettuce, garlicky calm broth, miso tofu, spinach, shaving of cod, egg wash, glass noodles, onion, shiitake, scallion, hot pepper pancake, chilled steamed shrimp. I don't know any of these. I've Googled, there are pictures. And mouth waters as you look at the pictures. You Google images and water will come from the mouth. You see the picture. Beautiful food. I wish I could eat. How about celebrating one day in this class, making these dishes? Can you? Yeah. Can you? Can you? You won't like. You just want to pass exam, right? Who cares of making dishes? Leave that. Para 54. Okay, leave that. Para 54. Look here. After the meal, my father and I talked about school. He remembers how the parents had come to school after 6 weeks with food. They ate the food. He vomited. Then he went to school. And then mom and dad were at home. They left. Para 55. During the following days, it was always the cooking that started our conversations. Now here in para 55, the mother is already dead. The father and son always talked about cooking. She would hold an inquest over the cold leftovers. Oh, sorry, she's not yet dead. She's not yet dead. Where is she dead? Somewhere in some paragraph, he says she's dead. Again, dialogue. Now I'm going to paragraph 65. I'm about to finish. 65. Sometimes I still think about what she said about having made a mistake. What mistake? She said, it was my mistake to send you to school when you were 15 for 10 years, but I did not know that I will get cancer, and when you come back home after 10 years, I'll be in third stage, but I'll be about to die. Had I known I'll get cancer and I'll die in 10 years, I would not have sent you to school. I would have passed time with you. That was a mistake. But I did the mistake because I didn't know I'd get cancer. Had I known I'd get cancer, I wouldn't have sent to school. A mom's love for the son. Right? Okay. You read like you live with this, right? Okay. Okay. I would have left home for college, that was never in doubt, but those years I was away at boarding school grew more precious to her as her illness progressed. The son became more precious. She was missing the son more and more when she developed cancer. Because she knew maybe she will die before he comes back. Let's finish the essay. Last paragraph. Was seeing me again as her 15-year-old son. Now, he was 30, but the mother looked at him as if he was 15-year-old child. For a mother, the son is always a baby. The son is always a baby. Paragraph 67. He was driving in the car. Now, last scene. He was driving the car, looking straight ahead. Traffic was light on the Massachusetts Turnpike, and the sky was nearly dark. They had driven for more than 2 hours. They means mom and dad. Left him in school and they were going home. They had driven for more than 2 hours, had not yet spoken a word. He then heard a strange sound from her. She was having cancer in the food pipe, not only stomach. The cancer had grown up to the mouth. And sometimes she had difficulty breathing. And she would make strange sound. She would make strange sound. He then heard a strange sound from her, a kind of muffled chewing, like this. Muffled chewing, as if something inside her were grinding its way out. 69. She looked at him with her ashen face. Why ashen face? Because of disease, cancer. The face was like ash, grey face. She burst into tears. Why? She had left the son at school and going home. She was missing. She left son and they were going home. She burst into tears. He began to cry. Look, hello, children. Look at parents' love for you. They left you in school. They are crying in the car. Have you ever cried for your parents? Have you ever cried for your parents? I don't know. Okay, read here. Where is that? Where did I read the line? Yes. She burst into tears. He began to cry himself and pulled the car over onto the narrow shoulder of the turnpike where they stayed for the next half an hour. They stopped the car and for half an hour they cried there. Why? They had left the son in the school. The blank-faced cars droning by them in the cold on-rushing night. It was night they were crying in the highway. They were crying in the highway at night because they had just left their son at school. Last paragraph. Every once in a while, when I think of her now. Para 70 is now. Now and then. Now then. Every once in a while, when I think of her, now mom is dead, when I think of her. Why? When do you think of somebody? When you're missing them? When they're no more? When I think of her, I'm driving alone somewhere on the highway. Whenever I'm driving alone somewhere on the highway, I think of her. I think of her. In the twilight, the joining of evening and day, I see their car in my imagination. On the highway, I imagine. While I'm driving, I imagine. What do I imagine? I see their car off to the side. A blue old school with landau top. And as I pass them by, I imagine my father's car is there. I imagine my parents are sitting there crying and I pass. As I pass them by, I look back in the mirror. Drivers have a mirror at the front. You can see back. Mirror. And I see my parents again in imagination. The two figures huddle. In the winter you huddle with someone. Huddling together in the front seat. Are they sleeping or kissing? Are they all right? The essay ends with kissing and opens with sickness. Let us spend a few minutes time wrapping up. So, because of time, I have to run through the paragraphs. I told a lot of things to you. Once again, I'll upload the videos. If you need, you can check back again, look back, and read once again. And now, write a rhetorical analysis of this essay and mail me. Wait. Now, I will assign essays to you and you will present them from coming classes. Yeah. So have you selected?
Yeah.
Which one?
Motherhood.
What's your roll number?
38.
38. What's your name?
Arati Bara.
Arti. What essay?
Motherhood, who needs it? Motherhood, who needs it? Beti.
That's outside, right?
No, it's from the...
Is it in the course?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I selected from the book itself.
Okay, motherhood.
Is it in course?
If you have selected an essay of a presentation, who has selected second essay? Night owl. Who has selected night owl? I want someone to present night owl coming Tuesday. So I'll put a lottery, okay? Here goes the lottery. Whoever wins lottery will present Tuesday, no problem, okay? Agree? So, okay. Okay. This is Sujata Pokhrel, roll number 20. Who is Sujata? You are Sujata. So you won the lottery and you will present night owl. Who will present next Sunday more room? Say I'll present. Okay, here goes the lottery. Okay. This is Abiral DC, roll number 3. Abiral, more room. Then, okay, the next essay. Here we go. This is, again Sujata Pokhrel is done. Okay. Iksha Nembang. Iksha will present the way to Reni Mountain. Wait. Is there a second page? No. Wait. Okay. Mohan Dangal. Who is Mohan? Mohan. Mohan will present letter to the president. Wait, we'll leave in a minute. That's a nice way to select, right? Okay, here we go. Okay. Rimsa Shrestha. Okay, inform that Rimsa will present Wasteland and LG. Rimsa, please inform her. The last essay of this unit, one more. Okay. Arati Baral, you have done. Pragya Dungana, you will present the clan of one-breasted women. That's all for today. We'll meet Tuesday. And who is presenting Tuesday? Okay. Wish you all the best. If you need any help, message me, call me, I'll help you. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.